Hey, 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 y'all. All right, all right, all right. All right. Let's get into it. How are y'all doing? Happy Friday. I'm so excited to be here with y'all tonight. Y'all got me all to yourselves. How exciting. Hello, hello, hello. Do I have a surprise for y'all tonight? Let's get into it. I am excited. Hello, hello, ladies. Thank you all for joining. Let's just get into it. Let's dive into it. Let me not have y'all wait any longer. All right, all right. So tonight is a little bit more intimate. We here in the ladies lounge per usual, but this is a special edition night. Normally we are in here on Wednesdays at 7 p.m., but we're just doing a little different this week, okay? And so I thought it would be special to share my story so each and every one of you get to know who Britt Danielle is. How did the ladies lounge come about? Um, and just share my story with you all because I haven't had the opportunity to introduce myself. So I sit around here and say how it's so important for us to get to know everybody else, but it's also important for you all to get to know me, to understand my story, understand how the ladies lounge was brought to me. This is not something that I saw a couple of months ago. I'm gonna say before June because we've been rocking out since June 26th, right? So I just wanted this to be a special edition here in the ladies lounge where I share my story. So for the next couple of minutes, you all have me to yourself. So without further ado, I am excited. I don't know about you. We are here in the ladies lounge where we are evolving women through conversation. And I, as always, hope that any and everything that is shared in the ladies lounge, you are inspired, motivated, um, and encouraged to be the best woman that you can be. Um, so to get started, what I shared with you all in the beginning was just a little snapshot of who Britt Danielle is, where it all started, where we are, where she is today, right? And it's not just Britt Danielle that sits before you, right? So I want to talk about the beginning in Genesis. Um, so born, my birthday is January 3rd, 1900. I'm an 80s baby, 88. So I was born January 3rd, 1988. And I was actually birthed by Estelle Jones. And that's my biological mom who carried me and gave birth to me. And God placed Fairstein and Henry English. He placed us in each other's lives. So I was adopted. My mom would probably correct me on this age, but I do believe it was around 1 or 2 years old. But my mom, Fairstein English, had me since I was 4 weeks old. Now, the story I was told, okay, was that my biological mom, Estelle, she walked to the hospital on that due date and gave birth to me. And the nurse that was actually on duty that day or night, however that played out, she actually called my aunt Ruthie, my biological mom's sister, and told her, "Hey, you have another, niece that was born, and I think that you should come get her." And before she gets turned over to the state. Well, so my aunt comes in, she gets me, and she had her own, life and responsibility. She had her own kids going on. So it worked, God worked this out to where I wound up having to go to the hospital. And at this time, Fairstein, she was actually wanting to have a little girl. And let me tell you, I don't think that it would have, her life would have been have any excitement that it does now if I wasn't in it. So I'm gonna just put that out there. But so God worked it out to where my mom, Fairstein, she, she really wanted a baby girl, and just for her health reasons or what have you at that time, it didn't work out to where she could carry. So again, God placed it to where my mom, Fairstein, and my Aunt Ruthie had a mutual friend who told my mom about me, like, "Hey, and this is just my brief synopsis, right? This is not everything verbatim of the conversation, but hey, girl, I know that you've been trying to have this baby or what have you, but I actually um, do have somebody, who is looking to adopt her niece because she just right now can't do it." So that is the beginning. I'm not gonna say that was the end of Valerie Jones. That was my biological name when I was born. That was given to me. So I'm not gonna say that was the end of her. However, that's she stayed right there, right? So now I get with my mom and dad, Fairstein and Henry English, and I'm named Brittany Danielle English. So from 4 weeks old to 36 years old, um, I'm I'm Brittany English, Brittany Brittany Danielle English, Britt Danielle to some of y'all. Um, so I do really believe that God really handed out to for my life story to be this, so I could sit here in the ladies lounge and chop it up with you all. So I was told, so now, okay, let me back up. So going from, when my mom adopted me and everything, my mom knew that she did not want to keep that a secret from me. Now, Henry English, on the other hand, he did not want me to know, y'all. He was like, She don't need to know this. And this a lot of this stuff is just me paraphrasing and just being extra because that's what your girl do, right? But Henry English was like, no, we don't need to tell her that she's adopted. I'm her dad. You know, whatever story you want to tell, that's gonna be the story you tell. However, I'm gonna tell her I'm her dad. And so my mom, Ferristine, decided that, you know what? Now is the time that she should know. I was around 13 years old, 13, 14 years old. And that was the most pivotal time of a child's life because you in middle school, you transitioning, trying to figure out who you are, what you like really, you're trying to figure out if who your friends are, if they really true friends. And so, but no, Brittany got to sit over here and really figure out who she is because what do you mean my name was Valerie Jones when I was born? When I looked in the mirror, I always saw Brittany because right because I that's all I knew from 4 weeks old. And so my mom had a really adult conversation with me at that age, and I understood fully what she was saying. I understood what she was saying to the point of me hearing like she's, I didn't come out her stomach, um, for lack of a better word to say where we all know where the people come from. But so I understood it from that concept, but I didn't really know what I was about to go through until it was time for me to look in the mirror. So now this is probably like another day or two after hearing that I'm adopted, and now just I go to look in the mirror, and I'm like, I don't know who I see. Um, I didn't see Brittany because now I thought I knew who she was, but now who's this Valerie chick? Like, where she come from? What's she about? And so I didn't look in the mirror after that for a while. I didn't, it was a lot of things I had to go through at that age. And also I couldn't grasp why my dad didn't want me to know. Why was he gonna, you know, lie to me and say I was his daughter and my mom wasn't my mom? Like, why would you want to lie to me about that? So it was a lot of stuff that I had to take in at that age. So eventually, what this was like seventh grade, seventh or eighth grade. Now I'm going into high school. So we're gonna put this behind us, right? So I said to myself, nope, we're going to high school. I'm excited to be at American High with my cousin. And we just, I don't care. I don't care about who Valerie is. I don't, we just gonna roll with Brittany. So I made a vow to myself and I said, how about this? We gonna tap in to find out your family and whatever questions that you have. How about we just tap in, um, you know, when I have a kid. So no, I'm sorry. I said when I graduate high school, that's when I was gonna tap in to find out, a little bit more about me. Maybe I would care by then. But high school, I was too excited to be in high school talking about going to the classics, going to FAMU games and, seeing the Marching 100. But I was not one trying to find out what, you know, um, who my biological family was. And respectfully, I really didn't care. So now I'm going through high school and I was just this shy, quiet girl, just throughout life. And I was the kid who never had to be told to leave the room, that I could sit in all the adult conversations. I'm gonna say on my dad's side, my mama ain't play that. First thing did not play that, okay? Adults are talking. She would just give me that look. My mama still could give me that look to this day. But on my dad's side, I was in the room with everybody and so just going through life, right? So I got to hear what adults was going through. Again, just not really paying too much attention, but I was just more so like, oh, I get to sit in here with the adults and y'all gotta go. So I was that kid growing up. Um, but now we going into senior year, and now I'm getting close to knowing that okay, I'm going to fam. Oh God, remember Brittany? We said we was gonna tap in to find out, who Valerie was, and now let's find out about, what if you have family out here? And then I mean, I even went to the extreme of what if I'm dating like my brother or something, and then I was like, girl, no, we going to fam. Forget that. So now I'm on the hill for those, that get it. So I'm on the hill. I'm enjoying life. I'm having a ball. I'm in college, doing what I do best. So what do? I make another promise to myself. All right, Brittany. So you graduated high school, we in college, you didn't tap in to find out who Valerie was. So when we gonna do that? You know, oh child, I do it when I have a baby, because then it'll be some important then because I would want my child to know who he is, right? Ooh, but didn't God put a block twist on that? Because I wind up for clarity, okay? For clarity, I wind up getting pregnant the summer I was home on summer vacation, not while I was at fam. And I have to put that disclaimer out there because a lot of, it's known that you go to fam and you get pregnant and get pregnant at fam, okay? I was on summer vacation. Um, but anyways, so now I'm 19 and pregnant. Um, so of course that was far from my mind of trying to figure out who Valerie was at that time because now I'm 19 and pregnant. What? Like, what the definition of life is life and really started back then when I was found out I was pregnant at 19. That's that's the true definition of 19 and I mean life is life and so went through just the whole um pregnancy and just trying to figure out what am I gonna do with myself? Like, Lord, how I'm gonna bring this child into this world. I ain't got no job. I am again 19. I was 20 when I had him. Like, I cried. I used to cry, like, what am I going to do? However, I knew one thing was for certain I was bringing this child into this world because my mother, my biological mother, brought me into this world. She, from what I know, what I was told is this is the story that I was told that she was on drugs and she was on hard drugs. She was on crack. Um, when I was born, I had that red label on my bassinet because she did drugs when she carried all of us. So I do have um, biological brothers and sisters, but we don't get there. And so I always said, like, if this woman can go through what she's going through, whether it is being on drugs, whether it is prostituting, um, just whatever she was going through in life, if she could not only bring me into this world, but walk to the hospital to have me, then I'm going to have my baby. Like, I'm going to have my son. I don't have a game plan set up. I just knew from the beginning that my son was going to be here. There was no, it was really nothing nobody could say to me. I've had the talks, it was not that I brought it up, but I had the talks about abortion. Um, I had, some women come to me and say, hey, what about this option? No, it ain't going down like that. It's not. Just whatever I had to do, I was gonna do it. But I know what that looks like. So April 24th, 2008, I had my son. And it was a life change for real. Like, to my mothers out there who know when you have your baby, it really, really changes your life. And to be so young, I was 20 when I had him, when I gave birth to him. And I remember it like it was yesterday. Like I remember it to the T. That is a day that I will never forget. Number one, because it was me bringing my child into this world. But number two, let me tell y'all, I had so many people in that hospital with me, y'all. It was ridiculous. Not in a bad way, but meaning like just the love and support that I had. I mean, you talk about my mama was in the room. My grandma was alive at the time, so she was there. My son's father, his, on my son's father's side, his mom was there, his great grandma. You got my bonus mom, or stepmoms, the son call them. She was in there, my son's auntie in there, and guess what, y'all? My daddy was in there. Not only was he in the room, but you had them camcorders back in the day. So he was recording, but he down there, you down there in the field goal, sir. So I had so many people in the room with me, and all of the people that was there love my son unconditionally. Like my child is spoiled. He's spoiled. And I'm gonna say that word because y'all know I don't like to use that word for myself, but I understand what love looks like, right? So going through life, had being this young mom, and now the Antoine Fisher movie came out. Now my son is probably like 1 or 2 years old, I believe. Y'all don't, please forgive me. I'm trying to tell y'all my story, but I may have some dates mixed up of when the Antoine Fisher movie came out. But so Antoine Fisher movie came out, and I watched that movie and bawled. I'm talking about I was bawling, because of course it resonated with me, right? The whole adoption and him finding his family. If you haven't watched the movie, it is a phenomenal movie. I still watch that movie to this day, and I still get emotional to this day. But I would watch that movie, and I would sit there, and I'd be like, I wonder what my introduction to my family would look like. Would they accept me? Would they cook for me too and have all the family come over and all of that stuff? And then I was just like, no, I don't want that because I don't want to be overwhelmed and it be too much. So I was in college and I was taking a speech class. And so the professor at the time had said to me, well, said to the class, of course, hey, I want y'all to do a project and I want you to speak on something, that made you unique. So I'm sitting here like, oh Lord, what made me unique? I can't talk about having no baby at 19, 20. They ain't no, that don't make you unique. So I was just like, what? I was born in high school. I wasn't into sports, and I was just into being cute and rocking my J's, and I had my car and I was working. I wasn't involved in nothing. So I'm like, dang, Brittany, what could you talk about? So I said, let's talk about me being adopted, right? Why not? I don't know too many people who are adopted, so I guess that's unique. And I didn't really know that what I was about to get into until I made the decision. I said, this is what we're going to talk about. And I went home and I told my mom, I said, hey, I want to share my story with my class. Here's the project name. Can you help me? And I remember it like it was yesterday. She said, I cannot help you with that, but I have a number to someone who can. And it wound up being the number to my aunt who came and got me from the hospital. And so I'm telling y'all, when she handed me that piece of paper with that number on there, I was standing there like, what am I supposed to do with this? What? Then I left it on the counter. I walked away, came back, looked at that number, walked away again. Like I had to think, God had to talk to me because I was so scared. I was like, I didn't know really what I was getting into. And so finally I built up the courage to call. And when she came on the phone, we did an introduction. I don't remember really the conversation verbatim. Only thing I remember was she said she wanted to meet me. And she told me, I had other aunts and, family members, and I had siblings and just the whole nine. And I was just like, wow. That was my face, just wow. Like I was so overwhelmed because to me, I'm like, I already have enough family. I'm good. Like I'm really good. I don't this too much. This whew. So I said, okay, I'm gonna do it. Right. I channeled in my Antoine Fisher, and that was the only thing I kept referring back to. I'm like, Antoine Fisher had this big dinner and he met his family. So I'm gonna go meet my family too. And I took my son with me to go meet my family. And it wasn't as big as Antoine Fisher's but I had met my auntie Queenie at the time. I had met another aunt, like God forgive me, I can't even remember the names, but it was like no time had passed. It was so amazing how the relationship just was flowing, and finding out, that they sing. I like to sing. I don't do it. I ain't on that level, but I can hold a note. I ain't, don't give me too much. Like I could, I do that shower singing and stuff like that. So just finding out that they're musically inclined, and um, walking into the house and seeing my baby pictures and things like that, it was just like, wow, like this for real, y'all. This is for real. This was my Antoine Fisher moment for me, right? Um, so shortly after that, my I found out that two of my siblings, we was actually going to church. So we was going to church for a couple of years. They had been to my dad and my stepmom house. Like we had the pool parties. So the church kids would come over, and we throwing pool parties almost every weekend out throughout the summer. Like our house was known for the pool party house. So of course, the kids was looking at like me and my sister, like we was the rich kids because we got the pool, right? And then don't even let me really pop my stuff because then my mama got a pool at her house. So I'm like I got two rooms and I got two pools. So but we didn't know. So we was young kids. We practically grew up together in church and didn't know we was blood related. Like we had the same mom. Um, So I found out that I believe it's uh six of us, 6 or 7 of us. It's two girls, I'm one, and I have an older sister that's a year older than me. And then the rest are boys. So, and I think my biological sister, she would be okay with me sharing this story. We didn't have the best relationship in the beginning. It was, oh Jesus, it 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 wasn't good. Um, and of course, fast forwarding now, understanding she was hurt. Um, I was hurt, and we grew up separate lives, right? She actually grew up with her biological father's family. I do believe that's who she grew up with, if I remember correctly. And then you have my family, my mom and dad that adopted me, and it was a lot of, she got to see how I grew up. And I think I could say this respectfully, that it was that jealousy. Um, it was that envy, right? Because you see how I'm being brought up, and your life may not look the same, right? So it was a lot of, you know, forcing me to meet our mom, and I wasn't trying to meet her at first. It was a range of emotions. First I was just like, well, I never been around somebody who was on drugs like that. And like, my God, do I have to clutch my pearls? Do I go around with my purse? Do I leave my purse in the car? Like I didn't know what to do. And then I didn't want to take on the responsibility of having to take care of somebody too. Like, I didn't know. I really didn't know. So it was just genuinely being scared, the fear of the unknown. I didn't want to hurt my mom and dad, like Henry and Ferristine. I didn't want to hurt their feelings. So then I got like this sister who I'm like, man, I always wanted an older sister, but now me and her, like, I'm really about to slap her in her mouth because she talking sideways about my family. That's how I felt at the time. I don't feel like that now. I love you. But this is going backwards. So this is when everything was like fresh. And she would tell me, you need to meet our mom because that's our mom. And I was just like, no, I don't have to do a damn thing. Um, so I finally built up the courage to talk to Estelle, my biological mom. And this how far back it was. I ain't that old, but this how far back it was. This was when MySpace. This was before we on Facebook. We was on MySpace, and I remember her bawling, y'all. She was bawling, and I was like, "What's wrong?" Now, before I got on the phone with her, I always used to dream of what would I say to her, because I wasn't angry. I wasn't angry at all with her decision. If anything, I knew for sure I was going to thank her, because it's obvious that without her making that decision, she didn't think about herself in that decision, to walk to the hospital, to give birth to me, to care that much about me, to even name me. Um, I wanted to thank her because that's the reason why my son is here. And so I just was like, but what else would I say? Because at that time I didn't really want to get too deep. Only thing I was just like, I just want to tell her thank you. But when I heard her voice and she was crying, I was just like, oh my goodness, what's wrong? And she was like, I'm just looking at your Facebook, not Facebook, MySpace. And she was just like, you are just so beautiful. You are so beautiful. I can't believe how beautiful you are. And your son is so beautiful too. Oh my God. Like, she just kept going on and on and on about how beautiful I was. And I was in that moment, it was almost like you were shocked that you had somebody that looked like me. Like, what what does that mean? Um, so I remember letting her get it out. And of course I accepted it humbly. But I remember, saying to her, thank you. And she was just like, what did I do? I'm here because of you. Like, regardless of the fact, I'm here walking this earth. I'm here being a mom to this boy because of you. And I didn't realize that some women were like, God just used some women as a vessel to just be that path for, you know, for us to get through. But it doesn't mean that you were meant to raise me, because the morale, the value, the integrity that I have comes from Henry and Ferristine. Like, so you can't tell me that that's not my mom and dad. You get what I'm saying? So, but with all due respect, she played a major part in this, because she could have, aborted me. I could have been out there in the streets with her. But that's not the path that God has for me, or had for me that at that time. I gotta remember to talk past tense, y'all, because I'm taking y'all on my story. And I'm also trying to breathe through this, because this is the first time I'm actually sharing myself live like this. It's some people in my family that don't even know this story. So um we here in the ladies lounge. But anyways, back to our regular scheduled programming. So, I just said thank you. That was it. And I remember my sister wanting to get us together and meet, and I'm just like, whoa, wait a minute now. I'm okay with talking to y'all over this phone, but and at this time, me and my sister, we had stopped really going to church as much. Just life is life in. So I really didn't get to see her often. But I wasn't too, ready to meet my biological mom in person. I was okay. I was okay with talking to her over the phone. And plus, I had to sit and register what just happened, y'all. Like, I just talked to the lady who gave birth to me. Like, I always wanted to know what her voice sounded like. I always wanted to know, you know, what is her breathing like? Does she blink her eyes really fast? How does she walk? Does she stand on the back of her legs like I stand on the back of her legs? Yeah, I even wanted to know, does she have like what size bra do you wear, ma'am? Because one thing you did was bless me. And so I had all these things that I used to just dream about. And so being able to hear her voice, I was like, I just need to sit with that. Well, fast forward, I sat with that over a year and a half, and she wound up passing away. She passed away, I believe, October 2015. And I remember seeing it on Facebook. And so when I saw it on Facebook, I lost my mind. Um, and I had to go, of course, they let me home early. I was at work. And when I went home, I cried, y'all. Like I grieved her death. Like, and I remember my mom coming in the room and she was just like, respectfully, of course, because I didn't show any emotions back then to say that I really cared or I was bothered or whatever the emotion was, I just didn't show it. So when my mom looking at me, she's like, why are you crying this hard? Like, what is going on? I can understand you feeling some type of way, but I didn't know it was going to be to this magnitude. Well, fair thing, neither did I. I didn't know that. But what I realized was I was grieving her death because the questions that I had for her over time, I realized I would no longer get the answer to. There's questions that nobody that's walking on this earth that would be able to answer those but her. So that was hard. That was really hard. And some days I have my little moments where I be like, dang, I wish I could. But I went through that process, right? So then we got to go back through life. So I wind up getting tossed in, and I'm gonna say that I got tossed in this. I wind up paying for her cremation. It wasn't planned, but I say I got thrown in it because they needed somebody next of kin. I was next of kin. And so without any hesitation, I said, of course, I will pay for her cremation because this is the lady who brought me into this world. The least I could do is make sure that she's not put in no pine box and just tossed away like she just, like she just didn't exist or she didn't do a good thing. And that was my healing. That was something I needed to do, and I didn't realize I needed to do that. Um, of course, it didn't come to me until later on when I talk about sitting with yourself and your healing journey. So I went through life and just just life, just doing life, just doing this thing called life. We living and growing, and I really turned my heart off to a lot of people. I wasn't valuing people. I didn't realize like, the hurt I was still holding on to with not understanding why my dad would lie to me and tell me that he was my biological father, but my mama wasn't. So it was just all of these range of emotions I was going through. And so, finally fast forwarding to um March. Matter of fact, fast forward to February 22nd, 2020. So mind you, I'm still going through life, right? before we get to February 24th, 2020, I'm going through life. My grandma, my mom's mom, passed away April 2011. My dad's mom, I'm sorry, let me even go back further. February 2006, I lost my great grandmother, my Nana, affectionately known. Y'all saw the video. I lost her 2006. That was my first, second now, correction, but first meaning someone that was really close to me, death experience. I grew up with both of my grandmothers. I grew up with my great grandmother. And her death, that was my senior year. And I will never forget her, just like her words that she said on her deathbed, that of course I would choose not to share because that's getting like a little too deep. But so that was the first death, right? Then 2009, experienced my dad's sister pass away. Then, and I'm gonna take y'all down this timeline so you can understand. 2009, that was my aunt. 2011 is my grandmother, my mom's mom, April 2011. April 2012, my dad's mom, my grandma. So that's two grandmas year apart. Then we got my uncle, we got more aunts. We talking about, even though, when you go out, they don't consider that immediate family, but the way that I grew up and as family oriented as I am, I grew up with my aunts and uncles and grandmothers and great grandmothers and my cousins. Like, we were tight. So these deaths really it had a cause, and it definitely had an effect leading up to Stephen, my cousin Stephen, when he passed in January of 2014. That really changed all of our lives in the family. He died from a motorcycle accident. That really shook everybody. That was January 2014. Then now, and there's people in between these dates that I'm throwing out there. Then we get to November 2016. Cousin Treese passed away. And it's not only the death, like these people are dying, it's also how they're dying that I would take in. And I didn't realize I was taking it in until now I'm diagnosed with anxiety. I even hate to say that, diagnosed with anxiety. Like, make me sound, I don't know. But anyways, so that's how my anxiety was introduced. It was introduced around death. And I would have this fear, y'all. I would have this fear of dying. It didn't matter how I died. It was just because I took on everybody's death. Because all we would do was sit around when they first died, and we just talking about their death because it was traumatic to us, right? These people, it wasn't like they were sick and we had time to prepare. Like, these were traumatic deaths that we went through in my family, and so I took that on. And it got to the point where I'm trying to now still mother a child and still, wear all of these other hats outside of being this mom. And then now I got to deal with anxiety. How do I deal with that? Because back then, a lot of people didn't have anxiety that they knew of. You know what I'm saying? So it was literally, I felt like I was alone when I had like having my anxiety and then being told, you just got to pray about it. No, you don't just have to pray about it, y'all. Faith without works is dead. You actually have to do the work. But back then, I didn't have I don't want to say I didn't have the resources. I just was ignorant to putting in the work to really overcome my anxiety. So I'm still going through death and having these anxiety attacks, y'all, like crazy. Like, I'm trying to understand, why am I having so many anxiety attacks? Like, what is going on? In my mind, I'm like, I'm stressing. Like, what is happening? But I realized my fear was around death. And I was just like, Lord, I remember saying, Lord, something got to give. This is too much. At this point, everybody dropping like flies. And I just couldn't control it. Now bring y'all up to February 22nd. 2020, and they tell you be careful what you pray for, be careful what you ask, but be specific. Remember, I just said to y'all, God, something has to give because I can't have this fear around death. Like, I'm not living life anymore. I still got this kid, who is used to us living a certain type of way. And when I say that, like, we were Disney pass holders, okay? Y'all, we was at Disney almost every every month at one point. Seems like in 2016. Let my son tell it. 2016 was the best year, and I'm with him on that one. But I'm just like all of this stuff going on, and February 22nd, I got a phone call from Mama Brenda, and I remember hearing her voice. I could hear it to this day, and she said, "Call me when you get off of work." Now I'm big on energy. I didn't realize how much I was tapping into because now I was getting into doing the work. It was new for me. And so I felt her energy and I was like, something's not right. So I called her right back. What's going on? No, I told you we gonna talk. She was very firm in her voice. She was just like, I said for you to call me when you get off. So I knew something was wrong then. And I said, I'm here. What's wrong? Well, they found lesions on your dad's liver. Now, I couldn't process what lesions was at the time, but I was just like, what does that mean? And she was like, well, it's cancer. Okay. Okay. I remember saying okay twice. And she was like, well, we got to go, we got a doctor's appointment. And I can't remember what else she said to me at that time, but I do remember I got off the phone and I was stuck. I remember telling my job, like, I gotta go. I don't know when I'm returning, but I'm out of here. Like, I'm out. And so I remember that weekend, that was a Friday. That whole weekend, y'all, I cried. And I was like, I remember saying, my dad is not finna make it to April 1st. My mom was trying to talk to me. She was like, Brittany, you crying like the man dead already. That's how my mama talking to me. And I said, it's not that he's dead already. It's the simple fact of my dad don't get sick that I know of. If he do get sick, and my sister in this chat, she can attest to this. If my dad, our dad, got sick, he would drink his absolute and orange juice. Some of y'all know it as a screwdriver. He'll go lay down and he come back like Superman that we knew of. So to hear that my dad, you know, had lesions, y'all, I was just like, yeah, this ain't gonna go well. So I was home February 24th. And then from there, we watched my dad transition. He was literally on his deathbed. Like, we didn't have no time to process, nothing. Um, he knew he was sick, and he didn't share it with us. So, come March 13th was the day that he transitioned, and even leading up to that, everything was so spiritual. Watching my dad, I never saw somebody transition before. So watching him literally, like, watch him just have, some of y'all may have experienced that death rattle, but this was something different from the death rattle. He wasn't there just yet. And I would watch him leave, if you get what I'm saying. And when I would call him, I would whisper, he would gasp, like he would come back and he would try to talk to me. And I was just like, I was just watching. And instead of, saying, Lord, why are you doing this? Why my dad? Da 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 da. I remember saying, what is the lesson in this that I need to learn? Because see, he's about to go to a place that we all trying to get there. And I ain't trying to preach, okay? We all trying to get to the place that he's trying to go. So what is the lesson in this that I need to learn to move forward? You know what I'm saying? Like, while he's now transitioning, he's at a higher a higher place. So unfortunately, that was during COVID time. So we really didn't get to do anything but have a viewing for him. And everything for us was like so different. It, family really couldn't come around. And if family was around, y'all remember back then, we have our mask on and it was just weird. It was just really, really weird. So shortly after that, probably a couple of months later, February of the following year of 2021, I like rededicated my life, and I was like, it's time for me to really get on, like the old folks say, get on the good foot. And what's important to Brittany now, right? I'm going through experiencing living life without a parent here, earthly. Um, so who is Brittany? Who is Valerie? What do they want? Are we gonna mesh them together? Are we gonna keep them separated? Like, do they get along? Don't they, like, So I'm sitting here, and that's when I dedicated myself to say, I'm gonna go on this healing journey, and I'm gonna figure out who both of them are, and I'm gonna figure out what it is that I need to be doing, and I'm gonna let God use me as a vessel. Again, I didn't know what I was getting into. And I say this, you know, to I say this to any and everybody. People use the whole self journey, spiritual journey, like it's a hashtag, and it's really not. If y'all have really done the work, it gets ugly, it gets dark. Um, Unfortunately, some people don't come back from it. Some people stay in that realm, but I knew I had to do the work, and I'm proud of myself for sticking through it because I realized that I am Valerie Jones, and I'm also Brittany Danielle English, and this is what they look like. Not to sound I ain't cuckoo, y'all, because some people be like, "Well, are you bipolar, whatever." No, these two get along very well. Andronette experienced, and she called me out on it today, and I can name drop. She called me out on it today, and she was like, I think I seen Valerie come out today, and she said Valerie is the one who she's stubborn. She don't want to hear what you gotta say. She she's like the one, like, whatever, just leave me alone. She the one that's gonna cuss you out and not care. Brittany, on the other hand, she's gonna be the one who's gonna think about it like, well, y'all, we gotta keep pushing forward. We gotta do this. So, and just to put it out there respectfully, I was supposed to have a guest tonight on the show, and due to personal reason, she wasn't available to make it, which is okay because I said this was meant to happen the way that it was supposed to happen. Like, let me let y'all in to understand why you guys get to watch the Ladies Lounge, why you guys have been seeing my Facebook page transitioning and me using it for healthy content, right? So God spoke to me because, listen, Valerie was out today. She was just like, I'm not doing this. I don't care. We'll try again on Wednesday. And I said, you know what? I can't do that. This is personal. We see the posts that people be reposting like, this next chapter is personal. Oh, maybe it's been personal. It has been personal. And I had to show up for myself. And I also had to show up for everyone else that watch and support me. Because again, it's just letting you in a little further. So that was our commercial break. But now, being on this spiritual journey, being on this healing journey, I got to learn so much about myself. Like, now I could walk in the room, now I could be put on the spot, and you ask me, well, who is Brittany? So I'm gonna take you through who is Valerie Brittany, Val Britt. Whatever we gonna, however we gonna mesh it together. But I am going to tell you, I'm not gonna hesitate. I can now speak to what I like, what I don't like. I have boundaries, y'all. I ain't never had no boundaries before. I have boundaries respectfully and disrespectfully. Like you can have boundaries for both. Let's talk about it. You can have you can have them disrespectful boundaries. Now the disrespectful boundaries just means that you ain't gonna let nobody try you. So this could go one or two ways. Cause I could cuss you out to the Neverlands, or or we can still handle it as adults and talk it through, and we could get passionate, but just know that it's still all out of love. And so the one thing that stood out to me when I was on my journey was, what do I want my footprints to look like? Right. And I don't want to be giving my flowers when I can't hear y'all. I don't want to hear, or well, I ain't gonna hear it because I'm gone, but I just don't want people to get up and be giving their little 2-minute speeches, because we got to hold y'all to 2 minutes, because I know y'all have all of these wonderful things that y'all want to say about me. But I was just like, that was so important to me. Like, what does my footprints look like? What is my purpose? Like, God, why did you have this lady walk to the hospital, give birth to me, and you put me in the care, the upbringing of Ferristine and Henry English. So then you took me through all of these life experiences, like, and then ultimately you took my dad away from me, like you took Henry. Like, what am I supposed to do? What, like the Kevin Hart? What's the Kevin Hart mean? Help me. So, y'all, I took 2 years, ooh, a 2-year journey, and I was by myself that last year, meaning wasn't dating nobody. Really just had to sit with Brittany with the good, bad, and the ugly, and call her out, call all of them out, her and Valerie, be like, yo, what are we doing? And so ever since then, it has been amazing, y'all. The people that I have come in contact with, the conversations that I have had, y'all are sitting in the ladies' lounge because I wrote this over a year ago. If y'all don't believe in manifesting, praying over it, taking it out your head and writing it down on paper, y'all don't believe in that. If y'all didn't believe in it before, please understand that it's real. I wrote this down over a year ago, that I knew that I wanted to tell my story. I didn't know how I wanted to tell my story. I knew I wanted to inspire women. I didn't know how I wanted to inspire women. I didn't know what that was going to look like. Again, here we go, Brittany. You saying what you want to do, but you still ain't learned your lesson, girl. You ain't being specific on it. And so at my job, I shared with y'all, I have the opportunity to talk to people, right? I take calls. And so leading up to starting the ladies lounge, it was one week where calls back to back were people sharing their life stories with me, and me truly being that vessel, speaking life into them. Like, listen, I understand that you calling in because your account is overdrawn, but you have breath in your body. You got kids that have to look after you. You got to look after yourself. God ain't done with you yet. He ain't put us on this earth to be around here sad for a moment. Like, let me make it a little bit more personal. Brittany, you really wasn't gonna come on this live tonight because you didn't have a guest speaker. Like, let's talk about it. You really was gonna do that? No, that's not how life works, especially when you're walking in your purpose and truly who you are and what you're doing, and when you're doing it with good intent. Like, it was no way that I could not sit on this live and tell y'all my story. It was time, it's overdue. And sharing that with people, hearing people say that I made a difference in their day. Hey, do you have a podcast? Do you have a platform that I could follow you on? One lady said, I want to be just like you. Like who? Who you want to be like? What? Like, And I remember just pacing the floor. I'm crying, y'all. I'm in tears because what are you talking about? You want to be like me? Like, I humbly accept that. Like, I'm not perfect. She's like, are you a life coach? No, ma'am. So I need somebody to come coach me. But I said all of that to say people spoke to me and I listened. Before the people spoke to me, God spoke to me. And he said, I'm about to show you what your purpose is. I'm about to show you that you can reach people and inspire women um, and have fun, you know, doing it too. And 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 it's yours. Nobody else, this is my baby. The ladies lounge is is me authentically. These topics that I put together comes from the heart. It's me sharing my life experience, but with other people who can help along the way. Because I do think that we have to bring back the humanity. And I fully understand that something I said today, somebody in the chat has gone through. And I hope that I inspired someone. I hope that you enjoyed my story, and I hope that it just adds another layer of who I am, why I'm here and doing it. It wasn't something, again, that I didn't know what it was going to look like. I have amazing people behind me pouring into me that has pushed me to be here today. Again, I had my heavy hitters call me out today and was like, no, you are too intelligent. Like, you got this. You're gonna come up with something. And I was just like, this is what I want and I need, to just share this with everybody, like, you got it. You can do it. Whatever it is that you do, you can do it. And even if that means you got to do it alone and do it by yourself, you're still not alone. I see y'all in the chat. I appreciate y'all. The live wasn't on a Wednesday night. It's tonight. I had people reach out to me like, "Hey, you're not going live tonight?" That made me so emotional because that means that what I am doing is walking in my purpose. I am here. I'm supposed to be doing this. This ain't this ain't something like I'm just doing just for the likes and just because I want the comments or anything like that. This is genuinely coming from the pit, okay? And I just want y'all to know I did it scared. I started off doing it scared, and look at me. I'm sitting here sharing my story of who Brittany Danielle English, Valerie Jones, um, just who I am. I am I'm me authentically. I'm I'm Estelle Jones' daughter. I'm Henry English and Ferristine's daughter. I'm Lexus English, Maurice Jamel, Adside, sibling. You know, I'm Keandre's mom. I'm the host of the Ladies Lounge, and I appreciate you all listening to my story. I appreciate all the comments, all the feedback, just how y'all been rocking with me. I just could not come on here again and share my story. I could not come on here and not thank you all and give you all the flowers for supporting me. It's so much more to come. Like, y'all don't even know. And I ain't even gonna tell y'all because I'm just gonna come with it. Just know, as long as y'all are engaging with me, as long as we are able to pour in each other, I created this platform for us. This is, yes, my baby, but I hope that you guys can understand. Like, I don't bring people on just to kill time. Like, it's so important that y'all take time out of y'all day to spend it with me. Y'all could be doing anything else. It's a Friday night and it's back to school weekend. So I am humbly grateful that you all sit here and and listen to me and just know that, if you guys are interested in coming on this podcast, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. The more that we can tell our story and get the message out before the time runs out. That was the best thing I ever heard, was to get the message out before the time runs out. And if you don't know what that means, to dummy it down, really create your footprint, really tell your story before you expire, because you don't want somebody else telling your story. When they write that obituary, that's somebody telling your story. No, I create this because my son watches this. And if he ain't watching this right now, he gonna go back and watch it. Then my grandkids can watch it. My mom watches this. I have the support of everybody, and I just love, love, love y'all for that. So I'm not running anymore. This I told God, I'm like, all right, I ain't running. I'm gonna tell my story. I'm gonna be vulnerable. And I just really, really love y'all. Y'all don't understand. Like, y'all so dope. Hey, I'm here in the ladies' lounge. We are back to our regular scheduled programming. I know I threw y'all off with tonight's tonight's special edition, but we're back Wednesday for a phenomenal topic, y'all. Just get ready, buckle your seats, because we finna start having the conversations about relationships. Okay, we finna dive into dating, and I'm really about to get in to some of my ladies now. I'm team women, team my ladies, but I'm about to call y'all out because we doing the most. We doing the most. Y'all know we doing. But we're gonna talk about that on Wednesday. And I do have a guest speaker. We got Guapo Four-Way. He gonna come through, chop it up with your girl. Like, we got some exciting conversations to come. I'm here. I love it here. I love y'all. Until then, you all have an amazing weekend. Happy back to school to all of the kids, the babies, right? These the generations that's gonna be taking care of us, y'all. So to my parents, I love y'all. Y'all got this. To the kids who are just starting school, y'all. I got a junior. We got 2 years. 2 years. So we got this, parents, and so do y'all, kids. Go out there, be the best versions of yourself. Do what you do, because only you can do it best. I love y'all. I will see y'all Wednesday at 7 p.m. on Facebook Live. Have a wonderful weekend.